Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. My name's Josh. Today we're talking about something deadly serious. Another family vlogger who's got a kid who's out of control and they try to hide it from the public. And the reason I cover these types of stories, it's not to shame the child or anything like that, but to show you what these kids are growing up in and the fact that what these families put out in the internet is all fake, devised to make money and clout and get fame. None of these kids are being raised in a normal home. It doesn't exist for them. And a lot of these kids have grown up on the internet, which we're going to find out today. So today we're talking about April and Davey Orgill and their son Zade, who did something incredibly dangerous. Let's talk about it. As you know, my first forays into new families or new people that I cover, we like to take a look at their YouTube channel and see what kind of money they've made, see what kind of sub count they have, and see what content they do. Now, April and Davey are a family vlog, and they have shitty graphics. That's for dang sure, as you can see from this embossed font. But basically, April and Davey, I remember seeing, I think it was Davey. I remember when 8 passengers went on their vacation on a boat or something like that. And he's the guy that wore the budgie smuggler. And it was like shaped like jeans, and he wore these things everywhere. Okay. And he thinks he's the king. He's king shit of the Mormon castle. Okay. And he's really weird. And I ever since that day, I'm like, I got to cover this guy because he's such a weirdo. So if you look at their channel here, they've got 640,000 subscribers. They've been on since about July 3rd, 2013. I don't know if they've been active since then, but that's a long time to be on. They've got, it looks like 6 kids, and they are completely Mormon, 112% Mormons. And they are really weird. They're just weird. They are. It says this is a channel dedicated to family and is for age 13 and older per YouTube's user agreement. To us, family is the most important thing. We are documenting our journey through this life. We have 6 wonderful littles that mean the world to us. We are happy that you're around us. April loves doing DIYs and is a rock star at hair. I think she's a hairdresser, but mostly loves being a mom. Davey has a passion for running and anything competitive, so he doesn't do anything. They met many years ago on the dance floor. The channel is all about family. Thanks for watching. We look forward to blah, blah, blah. Our squad is Zade, who's 17 now. Daisy, who's probably 14 now. Embry is 12. Ender's 10. And Eb is 7. Frankie is 3, probably. Anyway, so they've made 266.4 million views. That is a lot of money. That's why they don't have real jobs. And currently, they are just about to move into their brand new custom-made home, which costs them more money than I think they have. Now, the thing you need to know about Mormon families like this is they don't have many vices, right? They don't have partying, drinking, doing drugs. They spend their money probably pretty wisely. And in the peak of their channel, if you go to their videos and you sort by popular, the peak of their channel, one of their videos has 24 million views. My channel alone has 47 million. Okay? That one video they have, one video, has half the views my entire channel of almost 1,000 videos has. House tour, that's not their house. They did this way back in the day. They would show this lavish house in the thumbnail, and it's not actually the house they went into. They didn't show the outside of their house, but they did do now. They don't seem to care. 12 million views, okay? And then we get into the pattern that we always see with every family vlogger. 4.3 million unexpected hospital trip. Yeah, 6 years ago. Which is weird that the kid's wearing a mask 6 years ago. Interesting. She changed a poopy diaper. That's a kid in the thumbnail who changed a diaper. 4 million views. 4 million views of a little girl changing a poopy diaper. Interesting that, right? Next one, hair DIY fail, 3.6 million. Parent swap, I think they swapped with the 8 passengers, probably 3 million. Painful jellyfish sting, girl in a bathing suit, 2.7 million. And they at their peak, they were making some big bucks. Recently, I like to go back about, I don't know, a week gives you about a good enough example of how many views you're capturing within who's watching, right? It might go up slowly, but a week is enough time to say this is basically where you peak at. And they're peaked at around 20,000 views. Empty house tour got 56,000 views. Horrible news, 31,000. So they still clickbait things to bring in, the small amount of views they do still get, but they've been around for a lot of years. And so that's just how YouTube works, right? But let's go back to 2.5 years ago when I started talking about Micah Stauffer, okay? Holy shit, they put a lot of content out. I'm scrolling like nobody's business. Because 2 years ago, this happened. 1 injured in stabbing at Payson High School. Police said they're investigating a stabbing that occurred between two juveniles in front of Payson High School. The incident happened around 2:45 p.m. on Tuesday. Upon officers' arrival, they found a juvenile male had been stabbed by another juvenile male who fled from the scene. Fled from the scene. According to Sergeant Noemi Sandoval with the Payson Police Department. Officers from multiple agencies were then called out to determine what happened and who was involved. A short time later, Sandoval said officers were able to identify the juvenile male who was alleged to be the suspect in the stabbing. He was later found and detained for questioning. Sandoval said the victim was transported to the hospital where he's undergoing surgery, but his injuries are believed to be non-life-threatening. There's no current threat to the public or student body. Right? And if you want to know what that is, what happened, there you go. So this is exactly the story as it happened. I'm telling you the story first, and then I want to dive into why this is a problem, okay? So Zade Orgill now is 17 years old. At 15, he inflicted a stab wound that almost killed another person. According to people that I've spoken to about this case, and there's been multiple people that reached out to me through Reddit and through Instagram and Facebook, this whole community knows about this thing. Zade is in something that's called ballroom dancing, competitive ballroom dancing. And the story that happened here, the story that's been told to me by multiple people is, boys, hands up if you're a teenage boy, if you knew this. But teenage boys can be pretty rough with each other, can do some rough housing. And so what allegedly happened was they were all messing around, and I guess Zade had spat some water or something to this effect. Like, you can't take this as gospel because I can't confirm it because nobody wants to confirm it. Okay, but this is what I know allegedly happened. Zade spit water into this child's eyes. Okay, just being boys. Okay, it is what it is. And so this person tapped Zade on the nuts. Okay, and that's what dudes do. I mean, maybe not anymore, but I remember going to college, and we did because I went to a Bible college, and obviously the boys were separated from the girls. But I can't even tell you. I can't believe some people left there and were still able to have babies. That's what I'm saying, right? We hit each other in the nuts so much. It was just being a teenage boy. Now, a lot of you are female. You watch this show and you probably roll your eyes, but that's what teenage boys do. Now, I'm not, if it's not warranted and if it's not accepted, then yes, it's violence. Okay, so you have to be there. If it was unwanted violence, then you shouldn't have done it. Okay, so Zade starts the fight by spitting water on someone's face, which is also unwanted violence if you want to take it there, right? Okay, so the guy taps him on the nuts, and then Zade leaves and comes back and literally stabs a person in the arm. According to my sources and some posts that I've read, if the stab wound was like, I think 2 inches to the left or right, he would have cut an artery that would have killed him. So basically, in my estimation of this whole thing, and I'm not a lawyer, that's attempted murder. Why else are you trying to stab somebody, right? Just for fun? Right? I mean, that's escalation beyond escalation. If the guy tapped you in the nuts, go tell a teacher. Go tell somebody that he did this. You can press charges if you want, right? But the other guy had water spit in his face. And especially during COVID, that's a big no-no, right? If you spat in a cop's face during these riots of 2020 during COVID, that's like assault because COVID was a big thing and everybody was freaking out about it. So this kid not only spat his water in someone else's face during a pandemic, the other guy hit him back. That's just what teenagers do, right? And in the end, they probably both would have been punished at the school. They would have both faced repercussions and everything else, right? So Zade comes back, stabs this guy, almost kills him, in my opinion. To me, that's attempted murder. But the only thing that happened was he was given a $58 fine, he was questioned, and then he was expelled from school. That is it. He did not go to prison, he was not charged, nothing. And according to what I can gather so far, it's because the Orgills hired a very expensive lawyer who's very good at his job, and he argued that what this other kid did to Zade was assault, and so Zade was just standing up for himself. But Zade came back after a while. It wasn't just like hit him in the nuts and they stabbed him. Right? Because maybe you could say, well, even still, that's pretty crazy. But okay, fine. Right? In the US, there's stand your ground laws or whatever you want to call it. Sure. I don't know why you have a knife at school, but whatever. Let's just say you can say that. He hit him in the nuts and he's like, oh yeah. Okay, but that's not what happened. Zade left, then came back and stabbed him. Okay? Now, let's put that aside for a second. What type of human being could stab somebody? Right? Could you see yourself stabbing somebody? The people who do this in the world, who stab other people, okay, what are they trying to do? Trying to kill somebody. So what type of law enforcement, what type of judge, what type of all these people say, no, that's okay. No problem. He's just a kid being a kid. He almost killed somebody and faced zero repercussions because the Orgills had a lot of money. I don't know if they have it anymore, but they paid a lot of money for this one lawyer who's really good at this specific job of getting people off these types of things. And from other people I've spoken to, April not only didn't apologize to the mom and they didn't reconcile anything, even though they're Mormons, and that's probably one big part of their religion is to reconcile, to offer forgiveness, to apologize, to do those things, to humble yourself. Right? Not only did she not do that, but they also spoke badly of the family that Zade attacked. Okay? They turned people against them. Because the Mormon community is pretty close and pretty tight-knit, right? And so they used their considerable fame and leverage to turn the neighborhood and people against this family. And that's crazy to me. Not only did they hire a lawyer because and the reason why they could hire the lawyer is because they exploited their children for millions of dollars on the internet. That's the only way they got their money. They don't have jobs. Well, she might cut hair, but that's not how they afforded this very expensive, probably $800 an hour lawyer to get their son off. And so when you read their profile, they're like, oh, come do life with us. We show you life. Well, I didn't see that on their channel, which is why I went back to their channel and said, okay, what happened about 2 years ago? Like, I'll go all the way back. So when did this happen? Let's look here. This happened on October 5th, 2021. They did a video called Stop the Hate. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Tubing, they're still out in the summer. This is 2 years ago. Again, I'm looking for October-ish area. Having periods again, thanks. It's getting worse. Arthritis update. They exploited their child's arthritis and they continue to do that all the way through. And even currently they're still doing it. About polygamy school. What the fudge? It'd be interesting to see when these videos were made and to see when this happened and to see if their channel did any switch. That's what I'm looking for currently, right? And so as I'm going through their videos, I'm starting to realize that around that time that this went down, none of their content changed. They had to put on a face to show you that no, nothing's going on. They didn't tell anybody about this. And they buried it very well because type in the word Zade Orgill stabbing and you won't find anything. Reddit, you'll find a couple things, and that's where I found this too. 2 months ago on Reddit, I read this comment. The whole family gives off major red flags. April and I had a mutual friend. I don't know April personally, but my friend that used to hang out with April stopped letting her older boys hang out with Zade before the stabbing. She said that there were things going on that made her concerned for her kids, anger issues and bullying. And then if you Google it, you'll see all these April and Davey's son stabbing. There's a couple of posts that are made, but nobody has any information, no pictures. And so when I say that family vloggers aren't actually genuine, I actually mean it because none of them are. And the reason they don't tell you these things, obviously because it would likely cancel them, right? People don't want to watch don't want to watch a channel where you think that, a kid could possibly be, a murderer or, attempted to murder somebody. Again, I'll say this again because it needs to be stressed. What type of human being could do that to another human being and completely, oh, that's okay, no worries. Why are there no repercussions for that child? Because there is two-tier justice system. If you can hire good lawyers to make that shit go away, you will. And it was imperative for April and Davey to hire an expensive lawyer because their whole entire net worth and everything that they do and all the money that they make to buy expensive houses and shit is done online. They don't have real jobs. And they've been doing this for so many years that what is he going to do when he goes and hires? Well, I see that there's a gap in your resume for 10 years. What'd you do? Well, I was a YouTuber. Okay, and then you're going to Google this guy and it's going to come up that his son's literally tried to kill somebody, right? They have to do this. They have no choice. Family vloggers who put all their eggs in YouTube's basket or social media's basket are stupid. Okay, now I know there are family vloggers out there who do good things with their money. They will invest it. They make enough to probably live lavishly for the rest of their lives. Those people are smart, even though they're stupid the way they got it, and I hate them how they got it. But at least they're protecting their kids' future monetarily, even though they probably owe it all to their children. Okay, but there are some that are not. Specifically some that go into massive amounts of debt, and when YouTube's over for them, what are they going to do? Now, these people still collect 15 to 20,000 views here and there. Like if we go to their social blade, they got a B average. They don't grow at all. No more growth. They haven't lost, but no more growth. Oh, they lost 1,000 here. Interesting enough. They bring in less than 1 million views a month. Now, I know that they both equally have very large Instagrams. They probably have big TikTok. So YouTube's not their big moneymaker, but they're on all the platforms and they have big growth everywhere. So they make probably enough to survive. But I don't know how they're buying $1 million custom made homes. I don't know how they're doing that. And so, again, reiterating that they probably had to spend all that money to wipe the internet of any of this. Okay? What gets me, and I've heard this from other sources too, is that I think the daughter came out with a video that was trying to call them out, okay? And apparently, they just threatened to sue that family. And that's why I made the post on my community page. They threatened to sue the family if they came out and talked about it. But what are you going to sue them for? Telling the truth? Right? Now, the family are reluctant to talk, and it's hard to get a hold of people, but there are people in the neighborhood that are okay with talking, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? And so, the reason I'm not saying this to other families is because I want to protect their privacy. But the Orgills don't deserve privacy. Right? When you put your whole entire world on the internet, it's all going to come out eventually, the shit that's going on. And this is a deep, dark secret the Orgills don't want you to know. Okay? And they're not going to come out and say he didn't do it because we have proof that he did it. If they want to sue a family for talking about what Zade did to their son, go for it. Let's see how that works out for you. But the thing that really pisses me off is that there was just no apologies. There was nothing like that. The kid got off basically scot-free. And what I've learned since then too is that this kid has bounced from school to school to school. He's been kicked out of everywhere. He's been in a lot of fights. He's very aggressive. A lot of people are scared of him, don't want to talk to him, and he's still dancing competitively in a dance school. Why is a dance school allowing somebody like that to dance? Somebody who literally stabbed another person is just like, yeah, come on, dance with us. Every person I've heard that has ever spoken to Zade, has ever even communicated with him, and the things that I've read on Reddit, they're all scared of him. Nobody wants to be around him. He is a loose cannon. And so now that it's all out in the open, and I'm showing you because I don't know why no one else did, whatever, because they're not that big. I won't get any views in this video either because April and Davey are just, for all intents and purposes, they're like most family vloggers of yonder. They're all done. If you look at every family vlogger's page now, all the view counts are down because nobody wants to watch that bullshit. Thank God. But I don't think that it's fair that Zade gets to get away with what he got away with. But I also don't think that Zade is like, yes, I think that Zade is the perpetrator, but Zade is also the victim. Okay? Zade is a victim of his upbringing. And if you look at the channel and you go to their videos and you type in Zade, there are hundreds of videos of Zade. This kid grew up on the internet, okay? And was likely raised in a family, and I'll say this again time and time again. People who can literally vlog their entire lives are the type of parents that probably shouldn't be raising children. Because this kid clearly was raised in a place where he didn't get any attention, where he wasn't given a real fatherly figure. He was probably ignored. When he did something wrong, he was probably punished on camera. And you can see that here, like took his phone away, everything you've probably seen every hospital visit he's ever had, no phone, just, and they just like 8 passengers, very similar, right? But it sounds like all that shit was just done on the internet, and then he probably wasn't punished for anything growing up. Because what kind of kid can go stab another person? And here's the type of person that can do that. A person that knows he's going to get away with it because he's gotten away with everything so far. And he got away with that, by the way, everybody. And I have no idea, but why would the parents of the victim not press charges? That's some power right there, right? They're scared of the Orgills for some reason, but what is the reason? I don't know. I can only guess it's because they probably live in a tight-knit community and they don't want to be ostracized from the group. But that's crazy to me. Because in my opinion, if you don't press charges against Zade, then what happens later if he goes down the road and does this or worse to somebody? You had an opportunity to stop it. I think he had to go to counseling and stuff like that. Maybe it worked. I don't know. But could you imagine your child stabbing somebody? They're going to jail. They should go to jail. Like that. I'm sorry. You could, again, if you read the threads and stuff, 1 or 2 inches left or right, this kid is dead. That's attempted murder. Why else are you stabbing somebody? I know I'm saying that over and over again because I'm just so perplexed by this. So the reason I'm saying he's a victim is because he's a victim of the circumstances, the way he was raised. The parents are obviously not strict unless they just do it on camera. The parents obviously ignore their child. The parents obviously exploited the child and all their other children and probably ignored all the red flags that they were seeing. Because if this kid has had this problem basically his whole adolescence, and it has, but based on what I've heard from other people, they just ignored it because it's not convenient for them. They didn't get him the help he needed. They didn't parent him the way he probably needed to be parented. And it ended up with him almost killing somebody. Okay? And that's not the worst of it all. And here's why this is so scary. Because April and Davey host exchange students and exploit those exchange students. Okay? Our new daughter, exchange student update. Roberta, our new son, exchange student. Help us pick our next exchange student. Meet our next exchange student. And those exchange student videos, this one's got 1.1 million views, okay? Some of them have hundreds of thousands of views. They exploited exchange students, and that's gross. And here's why it's gross, because those aren't their children to exploit. And 2, We now know that they were living with a kid who was unhinged, who had major issues. And you're going to bring someone into your home when you know your child has issues? Okay, anger issues specifically. And you're going to host these people. And I've pulled up this blog from Reality Snark by Rachel Ulatowski, and this was written last year. YouTube vloggers April and Davey exploit exchange students for money. YouTuber April and Davey Orgill run the YouTube family vlog channel April and Davey. The channel boasts 644,000 subscribers, meaning that while it's a fairly popular channel, it hasn't reached the ranks of such YouTube vloggers as A Passengers, Yaoi, Norris, etc. The channel posts daily vlogs following the lives of April and Davey and their 6 children, Zade, Daisy, Ambry, Ender, Ebb, and Frankie. Like many large YouTube vlogging families, they belong to the Church of Latter-day Saints and hail from Utah. However, what differentiates April and Davey from many YouTubers is that they routinely host exchange students. And while this usually is a good thing, their hosting of exchange students becomes problematic when these minor students become the focus of the vlogs. YouTube family vlogging has raised serious concerns about parents exploiting their children, filming them without their consent, and collecting money from filming them with no requirement to share those funds with the children. Now, April and Davey are raising further concerns about exploiting children who aren't even their own and profiting off of it. Now, it'd be interesting to see if they paid those exchange students being there. But something tells me those exchange students paid to be there. April and Davey have hosted 5 exchange students to date. Previously, they hosted exchange students Luisa, Paulo, Roberta. Currently, they're hosting 2 exchange students, Nacho, an 11th grader from Spain, and Susie, a 12th grader from Italy. Since Nacho and Susie arrived in the United States and the Orgills home 6 months ago, they've been featured in nearly every single vlog on April and Davey's channel since. Viewers have gotten to know Nacho and Susie quite well. Nacho is a soccer enthusiast who made the decision to be a kicker for the football team while awaiting soccer season. Susie quickly made the cheerleading team and is now contemplating trying out for lacrosse. The two have had the opportunity to attend dances such as homecoming and Sadie's and have attended weddings, celebrated holidays, and traveled to Lake Powell with the Orgills. Susie is very bubbly and outgoing, while Nacho is a bit more shy and reserved. The Orgills' youngest daughter, Ebb, has a very special bond with Nacho, while second youngest daughter, Ambry, has a special bond with Susie. Both the exchange students are very polite, smart, and athletic kids who help April and Davey quite a bit. Chores and looking out for the young children. So they brought babysitters in. That's nice. The exploitation begins. Once the exchange students arrived, April and Davey's channel experienced a very noticeable spike in views. The videos went from receiving roughly 10 to 30,000 to routinely receiving over 100,000 views. The only noticeable difference in the videos was that the exchange students were prominently featured in the thumbnails and titles. At first, the videos were "Exchange students hike dangerous mountain," "Exchange students say yes to terrifying ride," "Exchange students meet the family," "Exchange students first America wedding," "Exchange students first day of school," blah, blah, blah. As is plain to see, the exchange student experience is really beginning to be capitalized on. With exchange students being used in nearly every video, there is definitely a market for viewers who are intrigued by the exchange student experience, and April and Davey are definitely catching on to that. Vlogging turns from documenting to clickbaiting. Of course, eventually the exchange students run out of firsts and new experiences, causing April and Davey to take another approach in getting views off the exchange students: clickbaiting, which is against YouTube's terms of service, by the way, everybody. Videos suddenly appeared titled "Sad News About Nacho and Susie," "Sending Susie Home," "Buying Susie a Cat," "Update on Susie," "Can She Stay?" and "Susie is Leaving." Of course, none of the video titles are accurate. While all the titles try to make viewers believe that Nacho and Susie are leaving to be sent home, it always ends up being something completely different, like Susie leaving for a trip with friends, a joke the family made, or the inability of Nacho and Susie to go to a specific place with them. Video titles, however, have recently become even more concerning than that, such as "Nacho is a cheater," "Nacho got beat up," and "Nacho betrayed his family." Again, the videos are over-exaggerations that seek to make it seem like Nacho did something bad or got seriously injured, while in reality, nothing of the sort happened at all. Perhaps the absolute most outrageous video was Nacho and Susie are in love. The deeply disturbing video depicts April and Davey dressed up as Nacho and Susie and kissing in the thumbnail. However, the caption covers their faces and poorly attempts to give the illusion not really a Nacho. That's gross. What the F? And that's still on the internet? It is! You crack! You disgustoids! April and Davey willing to give exchange students strikes. Huh? How far April and Davey will go to exploit Nacho and Susie became more apparent recently, when they revealed that due to high COVID-19 levels, Nacho and Susie were deemed not allowed to accompany the Orgills in their upcoming vacation in Mexico. April and Davey expressed deep disregard for the decision and essentially stated that they would not take no for an answer and would make numerous phone calls to get decisions overturned. Davey also admitted that he and April seriously discussed going against the rules and taking Nacho and Susie anyway, which is against the law. They're not their children. Their reasoning was that it would merely result in one strike against them and they would still have 2 more strikes before being sent home. The discussion showed quite clearly that April and Davey are desperate to get views from Nacho and Susie, to the point that they would endanger their safety and even openly disobey the rules and risk getting themselves sent home. Wow, these assholes. It isn't uncommon for exchange students to share and document their journeys. However, the major difference is that they tend to collect any revenue from gaining audiences and views on their journey. In this scenario, April and Davey are reaping the benefits from their exchange students, and also robbing them of the opportunity to do something themselves. It is unclear if Nacho and Susie are being paid behind the scenes, but most likely not. This situation raises very new and unique questions about how YouTube vlogging family handles an exchange student. Do the parents agree beforehand their minor children to be filmed? Probably. I mean, probably. Is there some sort of underhand exchange of money? Do Nacho and Susie have to agree to appear in films to be hosted? The bottom line is that there's something very nefarious about April and Davey gaining a very, very significant increase in viewership from filming Nacho and Susie. Nacho and Susie are minors, they cannot consent to being filmed, and they are exchange students who should be enjoying their experience in America without it being plastered all over the internet. Also, if they do want to fight it, for whatever reason, they're in different countries. Probably can't. The clickbait creates lies about Nacho and Susie and often seeks to cast them in a negative light or make viewers think a relationship exists that clearly does not. The videos are often deep invasions of Nacho and Susie's privacy and often made mortifying through clickbait and outright lies. April and Davey will even go as far as to force Nacho and Susie to break the rules to get them to appear in vlogs. It is a very unfair situation for Nacho and Susie, who have their privacy infringed on under the scent of the embarrassing vlogs. Gain money for April and Davey while getting nothing in return. Again, probably having to pay to be there. And so that, again, at its core, you think about this for a second. They're bringing these people who they're also exploiting into their family with a kid who is capable of doing what he did, who we know has a long history of problems. When these families know that Zade has these types of issues, have they brought kids in since then? Let's take a look. Yes, final interviewing with Nacho, our exchange student. So the kid had been there the whole time. They probably came in after the situation. So do these parents know that they're sending their child to live with somebody who literally stabbed somebody? Do they know that? I don't think they know that. And that's pretty interesting. If I was a parent sending my child off to live in a year in the States, right, so they get better opportunities to learn English, blah, 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 I'd want to know if their son probably tried to kill somebody. That'd be interesting to me. You could be sleeping under the same roof as that child. And so the Orgills clearly don't give a shit about anything, including the safety of those kids that they have to take, including the safety of exchange students. And that's the scariest part about this family. They come across as this lovey-dovey, ginger-haired, budgie-smuggling douche and his wife, and they call out their haters, they'll stop hating, and they're building this massive, giant-ass house. This is their reward. Okay, this is their reward for doing what they get to do, for exploiting children and for raising their kids shittily. This is how they win. They get rewarded for being a-holes. They don't have jobs. They don't have any discernible gifts. Maybe, okay, April probably cuts hair and she's probably good at it. So she could probably make money doing that, and she probably still does. But I'm telling you, this guy, what's he gonna do? Model Speedos? Because no thanks. And what should piss you off again, too, is that they just hired a very expensive lawyer who's good at what he's done. And allegedly that lawyer victim blamed, right? He said, well, he used he sexually assaulted Zade. That was the argument he used because he tapped him in the nuts. That's how he hit him. And that was the excuse he used. Could you imagine being any human being saying, okay, well, kids do that and that's what we all do. And they know that. And I think they admitted it, that they've seen Zade do that to other people too. Okay? But it didn't matter because he just used that because expensive lawyers are good at what they do. Could you imagine a lawyer, anybody being like, well, he did that, so he deserved to be almost killed for that? Are you telling me that that was a justified response? And I'll reiterate, it wasn't like he stabbed him right after he did it. He left and came back and did it, allegedly. The one thing I do know for sure is that, all the other stuff can't be corroborated, all that stuff I talk about. But what can be corroborated was Zade did stab somebody at school. That's the 100% here. And also that they didn't give a shit and didn't say anything. And also turned everybody against everybody. And also used their clout and their fame and their friendships to turn against the other family. Didn't apologize and even, and according to some people, even threatened the other family with lawsuits for speaking about this publicly. The effing audacity of the Orgills to do that. And guess who's good friends with the Orgills, right? The Holeens, the Frankies, and all those people. Which all their shit's falling apart too. Good. So don't ever get it twisted, everybody. When you watch family vlogs, likely some crazy shit's going on in the back end. Maybe not as bad as this, but things are going on. And the things that they don't tell you, and the reason they don't tell you crazy things like this is because it's bad for them. The reason why people like Jess Fam and Weiss Life and all these families I cover will never tell you about the strangers that come up to their kids in public and scare the shit out of their kids is because they don't want you to know those things. Right? Bricks getting thrown through windows and shit they don't want you to know that shit. Why they have to hire security when they go somewhere, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know the actual dangers their kids have been put in because they don't want you to realize that it is a dangerous life that they are leading. and it's dangerous for their children. They don't care. And some of their children are dangerous. But they grew up in a world where they had no repercussions because they could just probably be like, well, I'm not going to be in your video then. These kids aren't raised properly. You can't be, because they don't get normal childhoods, because their whole life is filmed for online. And that's one of the most dangerous things that people seem to overlook about family vlogging. The kids themselves aren't being raised right. They are content, and they are not getting proper childhoods. They're likely getting ignored. And the only way they can get love from their parents is when they get on videos and do the things their parents want them to do. It's really, really, really sad. Imagine this is your dad. Damn. So that's the update in the Orgills. I'm definitely going to be diving into their channel a little bit more, reacting to some of their videos about like the haters and realizing what they've done, because I think that they need to be called out. Even though they get a ton of views, I think just calling them out is just one more reason. This is just a stack on the other family vlog. Like when you all come together and you see all the major problems, it opens it up and you see the bigger picture. And that's what we're trying to do here. So thanks for being here for this video. Take a deep breath. These a-holes. Don't watch them. Don't be like them. Let your kids have a childhood. And I think everybody's doing that. I think the shit's on the way out, and I'm glad it is. But you guys are amazing, incredible, and damn valuable. Don't you ever forget it. Go and get something delicious for lunch today. All right? You have my permission. That's stupid. Anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this conversation and listening and always adding to it. You guys are amazing. I will see you tomorrow.